Hello guys and welcome back to Visit Extreme. In this new DNS tutorial, we are going to configure a public DNS and web server to host your own website. Remember, in the previous video, we configured a cache-only DNS server in the Visit Extreme's network. So let's get started because this DNS tutorial is gonna be really nice. Let's do it. In video number 9, we set up text streaming, IT systems admin, and 2020-2074 to forward any non-local DNS request to this DNS cache. And then we configured this DNS cache as a forwarder, which means that this DNS cache was going to take all those non-local DNS requests and send them to the internet service provider. Just remember that this IP address belongs to the ISP. And this one right over here is the DNS cache IP address. So let me cancel this because we are going to configure two new DNS server computers to host the Visit Extreme's website. Okay guys, let me explain what we got so far in the Visit Extreme network. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 DNS server computers which are gonna be taking care of any non-local DNS request in this private network. Next, we are going to configure two new DNS server computers which are going to be taking care of the visitextreme.com website. Remember, this is going to be the private network and the two DNS server computers are going to be in the public network. So let me show you a nice diagram. Alright, like I said before, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 DNS server computers in this private network. Next, we are going to set up the public network, which is going to be this one right over here. In this public network, we are going to have 1 and 2 public DNS server computers, which are going to be taking care of this visitextreme.com website. Okay guys, let me tell you what you really have to have in order for you to host your own website. First, you go to a web hosting company and buy a domain name. This domain name can be, the name of your company or your business, right? So after you get this domain name, you go to your internet service provider and purchase a dedicated IP address. This IP address have to be unique and public, okay? So everything depends on how many IP addresses you are gonna use. In this case, I have two public IP addresses from my internet service provider. Guys, listen up. We cannot use any IP address from this private network simply because we are not allowed to use those IP addresses here in this public network. And anyway, they are not gonna work. Okay, so after you get those public IP addresses, you just gotta go back to the web hosting company and let it know that you are gonna be hosting your own website right here in the public network. So any DNS request for visitextreme.com is gonna go to my web hosting company and then forward to these public DNS computers. Let's say, for example, that this guy gotta go to visitextreme.com. This guy is going to the browser and type visitextreme.com. The request is gonna go to my web hosting company. These people, they don't do visitextreme.com anymore because we are hosting our own website. So they don't do visitextreme.com anymore, but they know about my IP addresses. So the request is gonna be sent down to these public DNS computers. And just because we are gonna have a forward and reverse lookup zones in these two DNS servers computers, we are gonna be able to get an answer for this guy. Okay guys, now that you have an idea about this new DNS infrastructure for PCTechStream.com, we are going to configure these two new DNS computers with the domain name, which is gonna be PCTechStream.com from my web hosting company, and the two IP addresses from my internet service provider. So let's begin with this public number one. Nice. Let me log on into this Windows Server 8. And before we install DNS in this server computer, we are going to check the configuration that we got in here. So let me click on configure this local server. Next, we click on computer name. Then we click on change. In here, we have this fully qualified domain name, which is gonna be the computer name and the name of the DNS domain. Remember, we are going to use this name for this network and for the new website that we are gonna be hosting. Remember, this computer is not part of any Windows 2008 R2 domain. We are part of this work group. Let me click on more. The primary DNS suffix of this computer is PCTechStream.com. Let me cancel and click on cancel. Click cancel one more time. Next, we are going to check the IP configuration for this new server computer. We right click over this local area connection. Look for IPv4 properties. This IP address, subnet mask, and gateway are given to you from the internet service provider. And what is the ISP? Is the company who is providing you the internet service, such as, Verizon or maybe the cable company. Remember, these IP addresses must be unique and dedicated to this server computer. Let me click on cancel. We click on cancel one more time and close these network connections. Next, we are going to set up the DNS in this computer. We click add roles and features. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. Let me click on next. We select role and feature based installation. Next, we select this server computer. Next, we are going to check this box and install, an extra feature that we have to have. Then we click on next. We leave this as default and click next. We click next. Now we need to check this box if we have to restart the computer. We click on yes. And finally, we are going to click install. And this installation was completed. Guys, if you wanna host your own website, you can use any versions of Windows Server, such as, Windows 2003 or Windows 2008. It doesn't have to be a Windows Server 8, okay? So let me keep going and click on close. Let me check, what message we got. We have, a notification that, the installation went through with not a problem. Let me close this and I'm going to close the server manager. Whoa, who is this crazy guy writing here? Okay, that's me. Let me keep going, with the configuration. Now that we have DNS, we are going to click on DNS from the start. Next, we are going to create, a primary, forward, and reverse lookup zones in this public number one computer. Let me right click on new zone. We click on next. Right over here, we are going to create a primary DNS zone because this is going to be the master database, in this public network. Let me click on next. The name of the zone is going to be, you already know, pctechstream.com. Then we click on next. We leave it as default and click on next. Okay guys, in this dynamic update, we have to be careful because, we are not in the private network that we can select this option. We must select, do not allow dynamic update. And then we click on next. Right in here, we just need to check, the settings for the new zone. Remember, this is going to be the name of the zone and the name for the new website. Let me click on finish. Now that we have this forward lookup zone, let me go ahead and create the reverse lookup zone. We click on next. We are going to select primary zone. Next. We are going to use IPv4. Next. Right in here, we just need to type the network ID, which is gonna be 217.123.113. Then we click on next. You can see that, this file name was created automatically. Let me click on next. Now, once again, we have to select this option, do not allow dynamic updates. Next, and we click on finish. Great. Now, let me go back to this forward lookup zone and make sure that we have two records. One for this public number one computer and the other one for the public number two. Let me go and type the name, which is going to be public. Let me go back. Dash number two. The IP address, you already know, it is 217.123.113.6. Okay. So we are going to create a PTR record, for these reverse lookup zones. Let me check these box and add the host. We are going to click OK and then we are done. Let me go back to this public number one and make sure that I'm gonna have a PTR record for this computer too. Let me click OK. Let me go back to the reverse lookup zone. And let me see what is going on in here because I don't see the reverse lookup zone records for these two new computers. Let me click on refresh. We have one. Let me refresh one more time. So we have just the one for the number 6. Let me go and create a new PTR for the number 5, right? We are gonna browse. We are going to click on this public computer in the forward lookup zone folder. In this folder, now we look for the number 5, right? Because this is the one that we are missing. Let me click OK, then OK. Great. Now we have two PTR records for number 5 and for number 6. Okay guys, this is pretty much all for this DNS tutorial. In the next video, which is gonna be video number 11, we are going to create a new alias for www and FTP pointing to the second DNS server computer, which is gonna be this one, public number 2. Listen up, guys. Thank you very much for watching my tutorials, and I really appreciate it, all the positive feedback that you are leaving in my videos. So please keep in touch and don't forget to check my website peacetextstream.com to see if I got new videos for you.